Hey, what's going on, everyone? Nori Kocharian here, and it's podcast Perform at Your Peak. So as usual, we're gonna deep inside the mindset. We're gonna talk about the mentality, how important it is with the performance, how important it is on a daily basis, and how to build the mentality. Today, my guest is none of the less, but somebody very special to me, because for the short period of time since we met, he made a huge impact. He impressed me with his attitude, with his hard workship, and his sense of humor. So Artur Art Łabinowicz, welcome to my podcast.
Thank you for having me. Nice to meet you, even though we've already met 3 times.
I know. But you know what? I appreciate taking the time, because I know we're at the busy schedule, being in the same team. I know I haven't been this week or sort of last week, but there have been a bit of a busy times, but finding the time prior to away game as well, and I know there are challenges with that as well sometimes, but thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.
No doubt.
I know your background, your insights are going to be phenomenal today, so let's not wait. I'm pretty sure everyone is looking forward to this, so let's crack on.
To dive deep into who I am, sure.
Absolutely.
I'm sure they're curious.
North Carolina, that's where you were born, raised, and then over the period of time you were moving places, so you end up in Poland, back to, can we say homeland?
Like motherland.
Motherland,
That's how we would say in America.
Yeah. So how do you remember the life back in America, and can you compare it somehow in here?
It's hard to compare. America's a lot more, a lot more things you can do, a lot more things you can get your hands on. Like everybody says the American dream or something like that. I mean, it's kind of goes hand in hand with what it is. Like you can actually achieve a lot of things in America. It's just you got to know a lot of people. At the end of the day, that's everyday life. You got to know a lot of people to get what you want, and you got to be a hard worker. So
you would right away mention about opportunities, right? And I'll pull a bit further with this, and I'll go with opportunity. So let's just say we're going to dive in right away into the mentality side of it. Quite often when we hit the challenge, when we hit the wall, what do we tend to do? We tend to focus on that challenge, the problem, and it grows. At that stage, it's important to understand that every single wall, every single problem creates the opportunity. Having that kind of mentality, seeing those kind of difference, can you say that you are able to look into the next opportunity as it happens, that you hit the wall with any tries or anything like that?
Well, it depends on what you're trying to achieve. If you're trying to achieve a singular opportunity on one thing, then you kind of narrow down and focus on that. But if you're trying to do this, do that, trying to remember this and do that, opportunities come everywhere. You never know what could happen. Like some people try and chase a dream of being an actor, and then they end up being a podcast person. No, not saying anything to you.
No.
If you're a podcast person, maybe you wanted to be an actor. I'm just saying. People chase something, the next thing you know, they just find some random job that they ended up loving, and they really like it. Like I've come to realize I like basketball. Actually, I love basketball. I'd probably leave a lot of things behind for basketball, except my family. But as I was saying, like with the basketball, I've trained kids, and I've come to realize that after I'm done playing, I might want to be a trainer. It kind of hinted at me that I could do this. If I've had an opportunity, I've met a lot of great people along the way. One being my trainer, Colin Stevens, back home in South Carolina, Myrtle Beach area. He introduced me to the hard work and what it takes to be a trainer. I did my it's something you got to do in college. It's I forgot the word, but it's for your senior exit type of thing. You have to work with someone like a job. I forgot the word.
So it's like a practical side of like something a work volunteering type thing?
Yes, something like that. I just forgot the word. I forgot the word. It's too big for
That's
my brain.
That's fine. I'll teach you some English. Don't worry.
It's too big for my brain. My English gets real simple. It's just more pass the ball, give me the ball, I'm gonna shoot it. That's it. That's all.
That's fine. So should we continue rozmawiać po angielsku, or should we continue? Should we carry on rozmawiać in polski?
Na pewno będzie lepiej po polsku, co myślisz? Nie, żartuję, nie. In English for sure, but like I was saying, he introduced me to like what training is like and how you can make kids better and see them get better. So like when I was in college, I did that with him. And then in my last couple, I had to do strength training with a teacher, a teacher who was like really out of shape, and he wanted to gain some muscle mass. He wanted to get a little bit stronger and stuff like that. So like when I first brought him in to do his training and like his exercises, you know, I have to test them first to see how strong they are. And no offense to the teacher, but he couldn't even lift the bar, just the bar. You know, he wasn't, I could tell right away he wasn't never really in the gym or an athletic type of person. He was a very smart guy, very nice. But we started working out just a little bit. I put him through like some strength training stuff, and like only had to do it for 1 month. So 1 month I had it all calculated, what I was going to do with him, like what weights were set up, how many times a week we would do it, and we did it for a month straight. And I think he improved, like, from doing nothing on the bar to doing almost at least, I want to say 115 pounds. Wow. 115 pounds. So the bar is 45. Yeah. For anybody who doesn't know, it's 45. And then I added a couple weights. You know, he started improving his leg muscles, his arm muscles. You know, it's probably gave him a little more confidence. I mean, I didn't get to finish out training him the whole time, but you know, I kind of gave him like what he could do. Because after that, I just, you know, it was my senior exit type of thing. It was just something I had to do.
So few things just pop into my mind right away. First of all is how important is the right preparation. Not only physically, but also mentally, which we're obviously going to dive in later on as well. Mm-hmm. But this comes to the question we sort of mentioned just prior to the camera going on. And I said about, you know, one-off success or progress, carry on with growing and moving on. What is then more important to you is having that one-off success. Obviously, as you mentioned earlier on as well, the progress is a part of the success, and the other way around as well. But some people just settle afterwards. But what is more important, that one-off success or carry on with the progress?
That's complacency. You know, you get comfortable in that state. You get very complacent. You got what you achieved, and it's okay. Like, being an athlete, it's very different. You know, maybe some people in the business world know what it's like to achieve something greater, and then they're like, oh, I want some more. You know, it's that hunger, you want it. Like, everybody knows who Kobe Bryant is. He's one of the most well-known basketball players around the whole world. R.I.P. Kobe, rest in peace. He gave us, like, with social media, he gave us like the blueprint, you know. And Michael Jordan back in the day, till then, I think he's the greatest of all time anyway. He made the game what it is. But Kobe learned from him. But if Michael Jordan had more social media back then, we could probably know a little more, like what made Michael Jordan tick. But we got like, we call it, some people say it's Jordan is 1, Jordan is 1, and then Kobe Bryant's 1B. You know? Okay. So stuff like that. Yep. And Kobe always talked about like people win. Like he would win one, he's like, oh my God, I've never wanted something so much more. And it gave him an even bigger drive to keep going. Yep. So some people just achieve something and they get very complacent where they're at and they just love what they do. And that's okay. For some people who want to just do that in their life, then they can do that. More power to you. I'm not built that way. Right now my life is very inconsistent because that's just life in general. Life's never going to be just one smooth sailing up. It'll be like that for maybe like a short period, you know, like my life could change in 6 months. It all depends on how hard you work. It's where your mindset is, you know. They talk about, I've seen something, they talk about the Polish basketball player from America who plays for the Warriors, I don't know how to say his last name, but I think his name is Brandon, something like that. Okay, yeah, I think he plays for the Warriors, and I remember I saw something he tweeted about. It was like he went to a high major school, I think it was Purdue or something like that, where he didn't played a little bit the next year, wasn't playing a lot, maybe like 4 or 5 minutes, wasn't doing anything crazy. And then he transferred to Santa Clara, had a great first year, And then he had a great second year. Like, I mean, phenomenal. Like, had 2 or 3 triple-doubles, shot it well, good points, this and that. And he was projected lottery pick. You know, I think I want to say he's like 21, 22, you know, and he's still young, which is a thing for the NBA. You got to be young. Like me, I'm 27. My window's closing slowly, but I'm still got my aspirations. Like, it all depends on what you can do. Like, his life changed from, it took a while, but in a matter of like 7 months, he really narrowed it down. And like, all in the college basketball season, he went crazy. He did what he had to do. He did his job. He won games. And he went from being almost a nobody to a first-round lottery pick, and he got picked up by the Warriors. I think the Warriors, I don't remember what pick they had this past year, but they were somewhere up there. And he got picked up, and he's doing phenomenally well. Like, he's coming in, he's a rookie, and he's playing a lot. Obviously, Chris Paul is hurt right now, but he's playing a lot. His minutes could come in. Like the other day, I saw him, he almost went perfect from the field. I think he had like 25 points against like a big team. Like, he plays a lot of minutes. He makes an impact. Like, that's what happens when you don't stay complacent.
Yeah.
When you keep driving, you're hungry for something bigger. Like, you just keep going and you keep fighting, and you never know what can happen in 6 months. Like, you could achieve one thing, and then next thing you know, you keep doing the same things you were doing, then you achieve another thing.
Yeah.
And then it just makes you even more hungry, and next thing you know, you're somewhere you never thought you'd be.
That's probably one of the most beautiful music and sound to my ears. The way you explain it, no, honestly, Art, when you think about that, just coming back to the point you said you might become a trainer after, you know, post your basketball career as an athlete. And then you mentioned the way you sort of described the process that you've already tried a bit, right? It just reminded what my mom said years ago to me. First of all, you learn. Then you learn how to teach. And then you start teaching. Yeah? And when you start teaching, you learn the most, because not only you present your knowledge, but you also see visually how people react to it and what did they do, and you see their mistake and you go, okay, this is the place where to fix it. So you grow with your skill set. But going forward, what you just said, and that's why I said it's just the most precious music to my ears, is because it touches to the very important subject to me. Self-discipline. You know, being complacent is that part where somebody does not really appreciate the further steps. They just go, okay, I'm okay with where I am, that's it.
And you could also say they just don't know.
Exactly.
Or they're scared.
Now, if they're wrong, no, they're not. They're right, because that's what kind of level of belief and faith you produce about, you know, the current state. However, the self-discipline, you know, if you hear the word self-discipline, how important is that to you?
Self-discipline, I wouldn't say that's very important to me, like the biggest thing, but it's important to have, you know, self-discipline in whatever you do in your life. You know, if you're religious, your self-discipline is probably huge, like being a priest. Like, they get a bad rep because of all the other stuff they get accused of, but being like a priest, they have to have self-discipline. Like, they can't get married, they can't look at women, they can't do this or that. Like, everything has to be strict, or they can't swear, they can't sin. Like, that's self-discipline. They probably have one of the biggest self-disciplines at anybody in the world. Like, I don't think I could be a priest, so I mean, but by all means, you priests out there, I tip my hat to you.
With all the respect.
Yeah, I tip my hat to you. But there's even bigger jobs like self-discipline. Like, I've seen people who have to work underwater and weld underwater.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't do that. I'm claustrophobic. I can't do that. Like, people who work in like tiny areas. Like, I have a friend who lives out in Poland now. He's from America. He's just like me. His parents they moved to America, but he was born here, I think. But he moved back. Shout out Hubert, if you ever see this. But he works in a mine down in Poland. Like, I think it's near, right by Wrocław, down a little bit, down a little more into the mountains. Blisko Zielona Góra.
I think.
But he works down there, and he works in a mine. He says he goes down there for like 6 hours. I'm like, man, I couldn't do that. He'd be like, yeah, the only thing I got to worry about is the earth falling on top of me. I'm like, yeah, not me. Can't do that. So like, it's self-discipline. You got to think that in the back of your head. You got to stay focused and do your job, you know. But self-discipline when it comes to like sports, it's like, do you want to, it depends on what sense. Like if you're a kid, self-discipline, it's, you know, it's hard. You got way too much going on. But like for me, self-discipline where I'm at, or as those pro athletes, like if you're not self-disciplined in what you work at, somebody else might be, or somebody else is willing to be.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, you're lackadaisical on defense, but this other guy isn't. They might play him more. Defense at the end of the day is going away from basketball, but still it's needed. Somebody who's busting their ass and more than you, self-discipline. Like you got to be able to bust your ass, and that's why I think it goes hand in hand. Like with what happened to me a couple of days ago with my injury, like I was kind of lackadaisical. I wasn't very self-disciplined. I was running through the motions kind of thing, and you know, basketball gods will remind you real quick, like, hey, we could take it away from you real fast. So I mean, I'm kind of superstitious, so you know. I knock on wood, this and that, but you know, self-discipline is very important when it comes to certain aspects in your job life for sure. And if you're like, let's say right now, I think it's about to be Lent, and people give up things like self-discipline. I think, like my dad, he always gave up alcohol for Lent. If I've ever seen anybody who has self-discipline, it's that man.
Okay.
That man has the most like if he says he's gonna do something, he's gonna do it. Self-discipline, like to the T. That's why I think where I get some of my self-discipline, I'm still lazy and lethargic at times, you know, like when it comes to training, like, you know, oh, my body hurts today, I don't know if I can do it. You got to keep telling yourself in your mind, go ahead, get up. Go ahead. It might take an extra 5-10 minutes, but you'll realize once you get up, like it was good that you got up. Then you'll come home and you can take that nap or something, which I'm probably going to do after this anyway, so.
Okay, cool.
But,
as long as not through this.
No, I'm not tired. I drank some coffee.
You know, I think it will be quite challenging for me if I start asking you questions and you're like, 1 second.
Man, that should be on you then. You must be a good bedtime storyteller or something.
Well, here we go. I hope it's not gonna happen. So let's just carry on.
You don't want no kids? You can have some kids. You can tell them bedtime stories. They'll fall asleep real quick. So the reason I ask you about the self-discipline, and I think you give not only just quite wide, but also quite, you know, let's just say practical aspect of it, you know, how you describe and where you see parts of self-discipline. But you also mentioned towards the end of your answer, your sentence, that, you know, you got yourself to the point where you have to talk yourself through something. Now, the way I described through my life, the discipline and a self-discipline is you're disciplined when you get order from somebody to do something and you go and do it. That's discipline. So you listen to somebody, you go and do it. You do it out in school, through your practice, game, whatever, yeah? The self-discipline, and sometimes you don't want to do it, but you're still doing it. Mm-hmm. And a self-discipline is something that you wake up, you feel every bit of your body, you don't want to do something next, and you manage to talk yourself through it. And as you said, you lie to yourself, and you go, you need to do it, no matter what. That's self-discipline. So you can give yourself a tap in the back and say, yep, I got it a bit. So, self-discipline, no?
Well done. Challenges. Now, you've mentioned your current challenge, biggest challenge, let's say, at the moment. Sure. Or one of the biggest. You know, I'm not going to go dive into too deep with this.
Yeah, there's a lot more challenges other than this. I'll be fine.
You know, here we go. You know, we all have some.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody say to you, I'm not getting challenged or whatever, they may be right, but they may be too delusional with things, because I don't know how you would see, or, you know, what's your look into it. I always say this: if you feel that you're succeeding, but your challenge doesn't chase you, and it's not at least at the level of the success, that's not a success. That's just a comfort step. Mm-hmm. Would you agree with that?
Sure.
The challenge has to be equal, at least. Or
higher.
Higher, exactly. So, challenges. Pretty sure you've faced many through your life so far, and there's many ahead, because you have that drive to go further, and as you mentioned earlier on, you're ambitious, even though you know your age isn't favoring you, but you still have that ambition to go further. How you overcome challenges? And I know there's going to be tricky answers, there's going to be small ones, big ones, it just depends how you want to call it, but how do you overcome challenges?
Depends on what the challenge is, It's tough to say, Challenge of waking up sometimes and going to do your job, that's a challenge.
That's a good challenge.
It really depends on what the challenge is.
Okay, give it a go with this one, with the waking up and going.
We could be here for days. I got many challenges you could think of. Waking up every day, going to work, going to play basketball. I wouldn't say it's the biggest challenge. At the end of the day, some days my basketball occupies my life for 4 to 5 hours out of a day. Let's say I wake up at 9 and I go to sleep at 12 a.m. What's that, about?
9 hours.
No, 9 a.m. I'm not good with math.
Well,
never my strong suit. I want to say 12 hours, or no, 15 hours, right? 15 hours of the day, right before I go to sleep, right?
Okay,
Let's just say that.
Yeah,
so like I wake up at 9, we normally have whatever in the morning at like 10. So go there for an hour, hour and a half. Yeah, we have afternoon practice. I go there and do another hour and a half. But I stay and I do my extra work, so that gives me another hour. So sometimes it even shortens up from sometimes it being like 2 hours to 4 hours, or maybe even 1 hour to 5. It bounces between them. But so let's say it's 5 hours that one day. I have 10 hours to just do whatever I want those days. So like people think like we have it easy. I mean, sometimes we do, but we beat up our bodies more than most people. Like athletes in general. Like I think football players or hockey players have it worse. They actually fight on the hockey rink, and football players, they bang against each other. When I mean football, I mean American football. Sorry, not football, soccer. But
or rugby. If we're coming to Europe, then that's going to be rugby.
Rugby as well. But like challenges, like being an athlete sometimes isn't as hard as it would seem, but it is challenging in its own sense for us, for sure. But like, let's say for us athletes across the water, that challenge is even harder because you're away from your family. Some people bring their family with them, like maybe their wife and kids, and they leave their parents wherever they are. So that's another tough one for them, for sure. But like me, I'm out here by myself almost. I mean, I have my aunts and uncles. They're here, but I don't get to see them as much as I'd like to. And it's tough to go see them because I think right now they're about five hours away. Because Lancut's like,
that's not gonna be
southeast.
That's not gonna be like a weekend drive.
Yeah, it's not. I've done my drives, but like as I was saying, sorry to cut you off, but there's so many challenges I could think of. But like, let's just say my challenge right now is my recovery.
Yeah. My
recovery is the self-discipline of waking up every day and making sure that I do my ice, I do my treatment, I do my exercises. I go see our physio Wojtek. He does whatever he needs to with my ankle. Then I get my workout in because I can't play at the moment. Like I can't run up and down. I can't shoot a ball unless I shoot with one leg, which I do for fun. But like I can't really do much other than maybe form shoot. So I have to wake up for one and remember that I have to do all this stuff today. Like today I knew today was going to be kind of a longer day. I had to wake up, go to weight room. I had to make myself wake up. I like to sleep. I'd rather sleep all day, honestly. But I'm going to wake up, go to the weight room, did my exercises, what I can. Then I came here to do this podcast. After this podcast, I have to drive down to Rzeszów and I have to do more treatment on my ankle. And then when I'm done, I might get maybe if I'm lucky, I might get an hour, maybe an hour and a half of a nap. From there, I go back to the gym, do my treatment with Wojtek, and then I'll come to practice and I'll do some warm-up stuff to get my glutes going so they're still working and stuff because I don't want any other injuries to come about. And then at the end of practice, I'll probably just do my little form shooting, a a little around the basket, and that's it. I can't really jump or run.
So that's the exact time I should come into practice and just try like a, I don't know, 3-point throw contest with yourself. Cause
you'd probably still lose. I could shoot off 1 foot. I'm good at that. Okay. Yeah, you still lose. Your best bet with trying to play me one-on-one, yeah, maybe. Probably win. Okay. Actually, I don't know. I don't even think you'd be able to hit the basket.
Okay.
I can still move a little bit.
That's a challenge. Here we go.
Yeah,
that's not a challenge.
I'm not accepting that challenge. So. Sometimes you just got to know you're not going to win that challenge.
Speaking about challenges as well, and again, I think you're absolutely right with the differences. However, learning as well how to overcome your way, one way. Mm-hmm. What's going to happen is it's just going to matter of the size of the challenge afterwards. Mm-hmm. Because if you learn it how to overcome it once, twice, and you have the repetition of it, then you're not going to choose the complexity of the difference of mm-hmm. the difficulty or the easiness of the challenge. But there's one thing I wanted to say as well, and I thought you're gonna go and sort of mention and touch it, because what's your stance on one of the biggest challenge is to have too much time as an athlete. Because when you're practicing, mm-hmm. right? When you're playing a game, when you're in it, let's just say, you don't have the time to think, but also overthink. When it stops, and as you said, you're up sometimes 15 hours a day, and out of those, let's just say 5 are related to basketball, and mm-hmm. then 10 to do something with yourself. Mm-hmm. It's that moment when you sort of have to deal with probably one of the most difficult challenges, which are your thoughts mm-hmm. about current situation, about the future, about what could have happened different in the past. And there's a lot of time to think. And I think the biggest challenge for any human being, but precisely for athletes, because when you're ambitious, when you sort of want to go after something, and when you want to keep improving, is when you have too much time. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, I mean, I didn't even mention it. I probably overthink at least 7,000 times out of the day. My mom, my family knows, everybody knows I overthink everything. So, I mean, so that's why I'm missing all my free throws. I'm just overthinking them. But, it's just a part of life. I think everybody kind of goes through it. I mean, I go through it a lot more. It's tough to balance out the overthinking. The only thing that kind of gets you through it is just, I play the game a lot. I play video games just to,
But we need to talk about it as well.
I mean,
I can help you.
I have so many people who want to help me. I have my girlfriend who thinks she wants to help me. Actually, she thinks she wants to. I'm just not going to do it because I'm not that type of person. It's just how I was brought up. I guess I got it from my dad. My dad's probably the same way. He probably overthinks a lot about everything, but he's learned throughout his life to what it is. Maybe, I don't know. The man doesn't talk to me so much, so. But it is what it is, That's just how I was brought up, But just overthinking is just who I am. It's probably why I have a little bit of gray hairs, because I overthink every situation. I think about everything too much.
I think you're going after now my haircut as well, that I have a lot of gray hair.
Nah, you got way more than me. I still got a little dark. It's a silver fox, that's what they call it.
Nearly, yeah.
Yeah, silver fox. So, but overthinking, I at least overthink about everything every day. Mostly right now, I overthink about my mom. My mom's going through a tough time in herself, so okay. She doesn't want me to worry about her, but I worry about her way more than she worries about her own self. And one of my goals in life is to retire my mom. Okay. And I can't right now, unfortunately, because I don't make enough money just yet. And I'm hoping maybe next year, who knows, maybe midway through next year. Or I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, anything can change in 6 months,
As you said earlier on, yeah.
I want to retire her and get her on a good health program. She's in good shape for a lady in her 50s, but it's just growing up, she's had way too many surgeries for my liking, and she doesn't take care of herself as much as she should, to my understanding, because I'm an athlete. I know what it takes to be healthy. And seeing what people in my family are doing and my friends, I'm like, man, I just don't know how y'all do it. I couldn't do it. Like, I mean, some days I'm lazy, but at some point I'm gonna be like, I gotta go to the gym or something. I gotta go do this, or like, it's just, it's a lot of things. I'm gonna ramble on, but like I was saying, like I overthink everything. But my main thing right now would probably be not being with my family. Yeah.
Well, lately, because we're going through still last few days of the break, we had a long break in the league. Mm-hmm. You're away back home. I'm pretty sure you've managed to spend a quality time as well.
Oh yeah, that was lovely. I know
it's a short one, but
that was lovely. I got to see my girlfriend. She came and saw me. What else? I'd spent time with my mom. That's what I mainly wanted to do. I didn't really want to do anything else. I just wanted to sit there, and even if I don't talk to her much, because I mean, Polish gets kind of hard after a while. You know, but it's just what it is. You know, I just want to spend time with her and let her know that like I care about her and I still think about her every day.
It's one of the most difficult languages, so I'm pretty sure.
I think it's number 1 or maybe number 2 for sure.
I think Chinese is number 1.
It's from Chinese. I can speak Chinese, man. What you talking about? I watch a lot of anime and I read a lot of anime. So.
All right. Okay.
I mean, anime is Japanese, so it's not Chinese, but it kind of goes hand in hand.
So is that something that takes your mind off?
I do a lot of things to take my mind off of a lot of things. I mainly, number 1 is probably play the video game. Okay. I play that at least 4 or 5 hours out of the day.
What game?
Either Call of Duty or Fortnite. I should get into other stuff, but it's just there, so it's easier. So
daily you like to shot balls and points, and then, you know, under your cover you like to shoot people, you know, on the game, obviously, virtually. You know,
don't like to shoot people.
No.
Yeah, that's a crisis back home anyway, in general, the guns everywhere. It's just insanity.
But it also, you know, for somebody like yourself, it definitely makes you tougher, you know, with your character, yourself, because when you see something like that and you don't get involved because it's easy to get involved, you stay in a way, you're keeping yourself in shape mentally and physically, you know, it is something to be grateful for, isn't it? And from the really day one when I met you as well, I find you a very grateful person, and I'm pretty sure it's something that, you know, most commonly is that they teach, and you know, you've been taught from the very early to be grateful. And are you grateful for what you have, who you are, and where you are? Even though you aspire for more, but you still can be.
It's tough to say, you know. I'm grateful, and sometimes I take advantage of what I have, and it might seem like I'm ungrateful, but I am grateful for what I have in my life. You know, some people don't have the luxury of being able to play a sport they brought up as a kid. You know, I mean, that's something to be grateful for. I'm grateful for waking up almost every day. Yep. You know, some people don't get to wake up. Who knows? Nobody knows what it's like on the other side. So maybe they're having more fun over there than we are here. Yep. You know, life is not just a cakewalk. Life is about learning what life is about.
And choices.
You know, making choices, like realizing what it is. I don't know what to believe in sometimes. But I just know I'm grateful for a lot of things that have happened. Sometimes I'm not grateful for it because it sucks. But at the end of the day, in the long haul, in the long journey, it is. You know, like Kobe said, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. Yep. You know, he had a 20-year career, and he probably went through a lot of ungrateful times and grateful times, but at the end of the day, he was grateful for it because look where it got him.
And it's easy as well to be judged, you know, especially when you're doing what you love. Not everyone feels the same love, you know, not only to what you do, but also to yourself as well. You know, not everyone will love you. Not everyone will appreciate you the way, you know, you still have to be focused and, you know, do appreciate everything you do and how you do and where you do and things like this. And as you said, it's sometimes it's hard, isn't it? Because you know how many people are going to give an opinion, criticize you, and then, you know, judge you, and then just say they could do it better, and you know, all those kind of things. So yeah, but still through that, and I think you've mentioned by Kobe, there was an interview again. One of the sort of beginning of his careers, well, he was still like a crazy kid at the very beginning, and then he like really grew with the whole process. But I think it was like his year 7 or 8. Like I found in one of the interviews, and he through the interview he mentioned something like this: you need to have that tonal focus. You know, you're gonna go through things. There's gonna be like a lot of people, and they're gonna scream, "Love you, hate you. Love you, hate you." You know, we appreciate you. We don't appreciate you, but you still have to go and chase whatever's ahead of you. So I think that appreciation helps you with that as well, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, definitely a part of it.
Now, with a little break you had, you've been in Poland for past 4 years now. Like 2024 is going to be 4th year, really, because 2020
you took like a 1 year hiatus.
Yeah,
but yeah, three years for sure in Poland.
So
2020, then the following year I didn't come back. Then the next year I came back, and this is my 3rd year in Poland.
Yeah, because there was Wrocław,
Opole,
Koszalin,
Szczecin,
and then
Suit.
now in here.
Wine suit.
Wine.
Wine suit.
You need to open like a wine cellars in here, like
wine in the suit. I got that one from Ike. I posted it the other day when I got back. I was like, what is a way I could say land cut for my people back home so they can understand? And I put wine and suit. Makes sense. That's how you say land cut.
Makes a lot of sense, yeah.
Instead of saying land cut.
Land cut, yeah. So, mindset. Obviously, I'm not the first person you've ever met dealing with that area of, you know, your preparation, your sport, your career. But the first question I want to ask, if you were meant to put like a stat on board and say percentage of the mentality and percentage of physicality.
200 to 1.
200 to 1.
To 100. Mentality, so, 200. Physical, 100. When it comes to sports.
Okay.
You know, it's incredibly hard to play basketball. It's a lot of people want to say, oh, you got to be this, you got to be that. There's a guy who I met this year in Szczecin. He's not physically like gifted athletically anymore because he's older. Shout out Tony, by the way, if you see this. He's in his like 30s, you know, he's got ankle problems, back problems, you know, but he has like 3 kids. I think he wants another one, you know. But you can see like his body isn't what it should be anymore, but he still can shoot the shit out the ball, yeah. You know, but it's all mental. It's all mental stuff. You know, he's probably mentally in the game if it meant like in the game, like stuff like that. Basketball, when it's all mental. It depends on what you can do in certain situations. Like LeBron James, the reason he's playing so long is because it's just mental. Like he's just playing. He's out there just playing chess. He doesn't even care anymore. I mean, you could sometimes see it on defense, but I mean, when it comes to the offensive side, it's like he's just, oh, you're right here, psh, you're not there. Psh. It's just like, oh, I made a mistake, and what can I do to get it back? You know, it's just like he doesn't let little things affect him, and the big moments don't affect him either. It doesn't like. It's the easiest way I can say it is just the basketball side of it is way more mental than it is physical. I mean, it does go hand in hand. You got to prepare your body, but it's all mental.
So, saying that, why do you think there's so little time spent on practicing the mindset compared to how much time you spend on practicing the physical side of it, tactics, pre-game, you know, setup and everything like that? Do you not think it should be brought as one of the key things along with the practice?
You know, it kind of goes hand in hand. The mental side can go with the physical because at the end of the day, you still, when you're out there, you have to think and you have to be there engaged and mentally. Like sometimes they try and make it real simple for some players. Like, hey, we're gonna walk through this and make sure everybody knows what we're doing. Like sometimes coaches overskip that, and you can see it on the court. But it's just like like sometimes it's it's hard for sure on the mental side, but like they try and make it simple for some players. Like that's why you got to start when you're young. Like I started when I was like, I want to say 13, 14 when I started playing basketball more seriously. So I kind of took me a lot longer to get the grasp of things. So where I'm at now is just miles ahead from where I was years ago, you know. But I took that leap within like a year, you know. I went from my first year, I went to Slask, which is a nice known team in Poland. 17 championships, 18 maybe now, I have no idea. But went there and then went to second league Poland. I told myself, I'm never coming back to Europe. I still don't want to come back to Europe. That's still my mentality. I don't ever want to come back here. It just put a bad taste in my mouth of what happened when I was in Slask. It's just things, challenges and stuff like that that make you who you are. But I mean, I'm still grateful that I'm here and I'm able to play the game in Poland for sure. But like my goal is to live at home and be in America and spend time like my people that I have down there, my mom and dad and brother and sister and all my friends who I have there. Which no disrespect to anybody I've met here, but it's just where I was born. But like I said, I ramble on, then I get lost. But as I was saying, like I started in Slask, and I remember when I went home that summer, I was like, I told my trainer, I was like, hey man, I don't ever want to go back to Europe. I don't care if it's EuroLeague or this or that. I don't ever want to go back to Europe. And I almost made it happen. You know, I went in that summer, and I don't think I ever worked so hard and so mentally locked in and so self-disciplined in a long time. And unfortunately, these past couple years, I've had some injuries. I've had to take care of my body, so you know it's a little bit it's harder. But that summer, I just went in and I just didn't care what was going on, whatever injury, lingering, anything. I just went in the gym. I was locked in every day doing whatever. Maybe I didn't work as hard on my body with the weights room side, but I still did everything else on the court. And I mean, I made drastic jumps. Like I'm kind of a nutcase sometimes when it comes to basketball. My emotions will be on my sleeve a little more, you know. And
I've witnessed it a few times.
I tend to tweak out, as we'd say in America. My trainer, like that summer, he's just like, man, you made an incredible jump. Like from who you were last year to who it doesn't even make sense. And he's seen me, he's known me for 7 years now, and like from what he saw then to where I am, it's incredible for sure. But like I went from second league Poland, which is almost not even that great of a league, still decent somewhat. Went from that to going to the G League. I got to the G League, unfortunately I wasn't there for long, an injury happens, you know, not being prepared physically, you know. Yeah. Mentally I was ready to go, I was this and that. I went to the tryouts, I got picked up by Iowa, I went to Iowa, I thought I was going to make the team, you know, just at the end of the day politics happen, you know, like whatever it is, like it's just basketball. They needed a big man more than they needed a guard because they had guards. And that's the thing, guards are a dime a dozen nowadays, so you got to really show why you should be picked. And I mean, I thought I showed really well why I should be picked, but you know, at the end of the day, it's politics and it's this and so it's like who you know and all this stuff. But I got there, almost made the team. I was going to get picked up by Iowa, but the situation changed and I got picked up by a team in Washington, D.C. for the Wizards. And I got picked up by their G League affiliate, which was kind of a shock to me because I was about to sign with the Wolves. I could see it coming because they started talking to me more like, hey, did you work out today? Did you do this today? And I was like, oh, yeah. I was like, they're on my ass a little more than normal. So I'm like, something must be happening. They might actually give me a chance. Like, they must really like me here. You know, I went to D.C., and when I got to D.C., it was great. You know, all the facility stuff, like seeing what it's like. And I was like, kind of sit there and you admire it a little bit because some people are never in those situations. So I was sitting there enjoying it, and it's just like I was still working hard. It's just you got to think about all the stress that was with it, like overthinking it, being there by myself for 2 weeks, COVID on top of that is out there. Like I really could have been in the NBA. Who would have known? Because COVID that year was making it insane. There was the most call-ups from G League to NBA in like years. It's like 451.
Wow.
451 call-ups from G League to NBA, all because a player got COVID, another player got COVID, another player got COVID. COVID back then was like, you got to sit out and go.
Yeah.
So they'll sign like a random G League player for like 10 days. And like, you make an impression from the G League for those 10 days. They're like, oh, we'll just sign him again. And then the team will be like, hey, we'll just pick him up for the rest of the season. Like I've seen it happen. I saw it happen. I was there. And I was really close. I think about it all the time. I was really close. If I maybe had one more hamstring than I had, I probably would have stayed. I ended up pulling my hamstring a little bit, and it sucks is because all I had to do was just slow down for like a week and just do my treatment, and I would have been fine. Because after the injury, I went back to Iowa because my stuff was still there. I flew from Iowa to the Wizards, and I did treatment for like a week and a half, and I was fine. My hamstring was good as new.
And unfortunately, it's not with the physicality or even mentality, both. It's not something like a pair of socks you're gonna pack another one extra just in case, on top of what you have already in your backpack.
It's tough. Like I said, I rambled on. I don't even know where I was going with that story, but it was just
no, really good one because again, I've sort of mentioned about the 3 years or nearly 4 now being in overseas, and then you moved on to that little break you had in between.
That was the break.
But what amazes me, you still didn't, give up. As you mentioned, you got a big hit going from Śląsk to Opole. Again, no offense to both teams, but sort of having ambition and just going down in leagues, not just one step, it's just like 2 steps. You could have give up right away, but then you found inner sort of strength, which leads to being persistent. Do you feel like persistent person?
Oh, if you ask my trainer, I'm probably the most persistent person when it comes to little things. He says I'm so persistent at this. He tells me all the time. He's like, I've never met somebody who can see the bad out of everything.
What, the current one or the?
No, me. Like,
no, the current coach or the?
No, my trainer back at home.
All right, okay.
Colin Stevens, he's a great guy. You'd like him. He's the same he's kind of like you, He's like a mental guy, he talks, helps people with their things that go on back at home and stuff. But he does more than just that. He's great. He does basketball, he does this, he's a life coach, then he's a motivational speaker, then he writes a book, then he does this, and he got 2 kids, he got a wife, and he's all over the place, It's hard to get a hold of him sometimes, but great guy anyway. Shout out Colin. But like he says, he's never met, he said it, I don't know if he means it, but he knows, likes to mess with me. He says, I've never met somebody who can see the bad out of any situation. Like, I legit look and see things, and at anything, it could be a person, it could be a situation, or stuff. I just look at, focus, and I dive deep on what's the worst thing that could happen in this situation. Or like, what's the worst out of this person? Like, I'm very persistent when it comes to that stuff. But I am a persistent person in general, yeah.
But it reminds me of the situation post-game in Zielona Góra, when everyone just left, and you were sat there, and I came to you and said, brilliant game. And you were like, yeah, but. Because obviously the overall score wasn't there, and the result wasn't, in our favor and things like this. But then, few words that I said, it's sort of you looked at it and you're like, maybe you're right. But I think when I looked back, when I walked away from you, and I looked back and I saw, no, he's still sticking to his own thing. It's like, you decided you're going to be sort of like a protesting there, sat there, like looking on that scoreboard and trying to confirm to yourself what just happened. It's like, he's very persistent with that.
I would say I'm somewhat of a perfectionist. Like, a little bit. Like, I'm not like OCD or in that sense sometimes. I know I have ADHD probably because I tend to move and I do all that. I can't stop moving sometimes. And I'll lose my train of thought and I just keep rambling on like I am now. But like when it comes to like basketball or being good at something, I don't want to be good at something. I want to be great at it. So like, that's why when I'm back at home, like I'm very persistent. I get very angry. Like when I'm not, like when I'm working now and I'm missing a shot that I normally I can make, Like I wouldn't say I'm the greatest shooter of all time, better than Steph Curry, no. Like he can miss one shot and then he'll make like 50 in a row, 100 in a row, and then he'll miss again. Like I can't do that, I know that. You know, but like I want to say I could do that, you know, and like I know I can make shots. So like let's say I'm in the corner, I'm a corner shooter, I'm pretty good at it. Right corner, I'll make one, make another, make 5, and then I'll miss, and I'll be all right, well, whatever, shoot the next one. Make that one, make another, miss. After the third miss, I'm probably gonna punt the ball. Because like I get so overwhelmed, I get so mad. I'm like, I'm shooting the same shot every single time. I know I'm not leaning back. My shoulders aren't going forward, or they're going back. I know I'm not putting the ball over my head. I know my ass is out, sticking out while I'm shooting it. Pause for those weird people, but but like it's just like. I missed the shot. I'm like, why the hell am I missing this shot? You know, I like to do things like in my way in a sense, but sometimes it doesn't go that way. And like that's how I have to learn. Like, not everything's gonna be perfect, but I can get it as close as I can. I'll be okay.
Well, we'll use that as the end sentence to this podcast. The great starts in here, then it converts into the physicality. So I know you do have a great mentality, or somebody who wants to reach greatness, so go after that. You don't know where that greatness, based exactly on what you said at the very beginning, you can think you're a great actor and then you convert to the podcast. You can think about being greatest in, or have the greatest mentality for the basketball, but then be absolutely phenomenal coach. So Art, thank you so much for your time.
No problem.
Appreciate having you. And maybe a quick shout out to your mom and just say, you know, that's from myself. I believe she will go through any challenge, especially having a strong son like yourself. So thank you.
Nie. Mamo, jak to zobaczysz, ja cię kocham.
Time to shine.
Nie ma znaczenia gdzie, co?
Whatever.
Nie, zrobimy tutaj. Wartość już może 10 groszy więcej.